Welcome to the Shooting Sportscast. I'm Scott Linden with Where to Shoot. We're in the indoor shooting range here at Crimson Trace. I'm with Fred Karl, the product development engineer at Crimson Trace. Now, Fred, we're going to talk today about some of the kind of the teaching capabilities of a laser sight. And before we started recording, I was astounded at how quickly you can learn what you really do when you're pulling the trigger. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, the great thing about the laser sights is not only is it a target acquisition tool, you can use it for training. One of the things a lot of people realize when they put their laser grips on for the first time, they don't have to go to the range. They can literally be in their living room. They could be out in their backyard, obviously with a safe pistol, as we indicate here. But essentially you can practice sight alignment, trigger control, follow through, recoil anticipation. And this is actually a tool that I use, the laser, for when I'm teaching pistol classes and associated things like that. So one of the things that I like to teach people and show is that the laser sight, when you put it up, you're learning front sight acquisition, rear sight alignment. What happens is that you can see where that laser's pointed and where your front sight is pointed. So if you do a draw, for instance, and put the gun up and you're just acquiring your target, well, where's my front sight going? Well, the laser will indicate on the target where that front sight actually is. So that's one tool of being able to acquire a target sight with a laser.
Now, a lot of people will look at a laser sight and say, well, I don't need to look at any of the other sights on my gun. What's the importance of the relationship between the front sight and the laser and the back sight for that?
Well, I like to tell people, learn how to shoot your firearm first, then bring the laser into it. Because if you don't know front sight alignment and rear sight acquisition, it really gets, if you just don't know how to utilize that with trigger control, then you're just not using the fundamentals of good pistol craft. So really like to have the ability to learn front sight acquisition, rear sight alignment, and things of that nature, and the follow through. Bring the laser in as a tool, and if you learn those techniques first, you'll become a much more accurate shooter. So one of the things that how you can tell if you are actually getting proper sight alignment and utilizing the laser is that sometimes when you have anticipation recoil, you break the hammer or you drop your shot, and all of a sudden the laser dives low left, and you're a right-handed shooter, guess what? That's anticipation recoil. If it jumps up to the high right, well, that's something else. So it all depends on how you're manipulating the control of the trigger. And the laser will jump from left to right, or as you practice, that laser sight will stay on the target that you're actually acquiring. So over time, if you start seeing the laser staying within what you deem as the right pattern, that is where your shots are going to go.
And the key to that is shoot a lot so that you develop that muscle memory, in effect counteract recoil. Am I right? Is that a good way to describe it?
It's a contradiction in terms, but it's like having a relaxed hand on a controlled explosion, but over time you get to the point where you just follow through that shot and you don't think about the recoil, and the laser allows you to practice that, and so that you're concentrating more on where the front sight is, where the laser might be on the target, and then actually hitting a really accurate shot on the target, rather than really having the anticipation of that recoil jumping out at you.
Well, I've had a great time here at Crimson Trace. Thanks, Fred, for all your instruction. Eventually I'll learn how to shoot. If you want to learn how to shoot better, go to wheretoshoot.org and find one of the 10,000 ranges across the country. And remember, firearm safety depends on you.